Judi Dench, the legend who can no longer see. Intro: the precision of a legend. For more than 6 decades, Dame Judi Dench lived by words. Pause, reading them, shaping them, and turning them into truth on stage and screen. She built a career on surgical precision. A pause held just long enough, a glance sharp enough to silence a room. But now, at an age when most legends are remembered in the past tense, Dench has spoken with quiet clarity about something far more frightening than retirement. Pause. The woman who once commanded entire theaters has admitted she can no longer see well enough to move through the world alone. The M revolution, breaking the age barrier. By the early 1990s, the industry had quietly placed Dench in a familiar box. She was respected, but no longer expected to surprise. Pause. That changed in 1995 when she stepped into the role of M in GoldenEye. At 60, she wasn't just a boss, she was a disruptor. She famously called James Bond a sexist, misogynist dinosaur, dismantling the idea that authority on screen had an expiration date. This wasn't decorative power, it was dominance. She didn't chase youth. She made time yield to her, eventually winning an Academy Award for Shakespeare in Love with only 8 minutes of screen time, a feat of pure, distilled control that remains a Hollywood record. The night memory burned, the Hampstead fire. While her professional life reached a global peak, her private world was facing a devastating erasure. In the early 90s, a fire gutted her Hampstead home. This wasn't just a loss of property, it was a loss of history. Pause, scripts covered in decades of handwritten notes, personal letters, and the pressed roses her husband, Michael Williams, gave her every Friday for 30 years were reduced to ash. This tragedy altered her relationship with the tangible world. She realized that objects are fragile, and memory must be carried within. This urgency sharpened her work, adding a weight to her silences that audiences felt instinctively, even if they didn't know the source of her grief. The greatest test, the Friday roses stop. The ultimate anchor of Judi's life was Michael. Pause. Their marriage was a rare Hollywood success, built on a ritual of a single red rose delivered every Friday for 3 decades. When Michael was diagnosed with lung cancer, Judi was working abroad. The terror of trying to get home in time remains her most painful memory. Pause. After his passing in 2001, the roses stopped, but Judi refused to stop. She went back to work almost immediately, using the structure of a film set to keep from drowning in grief. She never remarried, stating simply that Michael is still everywhere in her home. The silent struggle, macular degeneration. The final challenge arrived in 2012. Diagnosed with advanced macular degeneration, the very foundation of her art, the written word began to dissolve into a field of fog. For a woman who spent her life studying scripts, the diagnosis was a potential career ender. Pause. But Judi Dench does not surrender. She adapted her entire creative process. Today, she learns her lines by ear, with friends and family reading them aloud until they are locked in her memory. On a film set, she memorizes the geography of the room, using the sound of floorboards and the voices of her co-stars to navigate a world she can no longer see. She admits to the humiliation of needing help to eat or walk, yet she continues to stand before the camera. Conclusion: the fire of survival. Today, Judi Dench's farewell is arriving without a final bow. She no longer measures her days in rehearsals, but in routines that preserve her dignity, gardening by touch and advocating for those with sight loss. Pause. We aren't saying goodbye to Judi Dench herself, but to the version of her that required sight to exist. What remains is a presence built on resilience, a life defined not by the lights of the stage, but by the fire of survival. Thank you for watching Hollywood Unmasked. Judi Dench showed the world that power doesn't have an expiration date, even when the lights grow dim. Which of her iconic roles is your favorite? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story of resilience moved you, please hit the like button and subscribe to join us as we continue to unmask the legends. We'll see you in the next one.